Good morning everybody, welcome to today's live stream. So today we're going to be looking at a number of GCSE exam questions submitted by some of you over the last couple of weeks. Most of them are going to be calculator ones, some of them are going to be non-calculator ones. I expect the session to last around 30 to 40 minutes. And if you've got any questions as we go through, feel free to ask. So let me have a quick look at how many questions we have. We've got 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we've got 15 questions. So we're going to be working through these 15 questions. I'm going to go in the order that I've got them in. Okay, so the first one, a train travelled along. If you've got any questions as we go through, feel free to ask as well. There is a slight delay in the YouTube stream of about 10 seconds, I think it is. So, a train travelled along a track in 110 minutes, correct to the nearest 5 minutes. And this question is all about speed. Okay, so we need to look at the time. So we have 110 minutes. If it's correct to the nearest 5 minutes, the time above it is 115, the time below it is 105. So the upper and lower bound for the time are halfway between that, which is 112.5 minutes and 107.5 minutes. And then we put our inequalities in. So there's our time. And we do the same thing for the distance. So we know it's 270 kilometers long to the nearest 10. So 270, so the value above it is 280 and 260 is the value below it because it's to the nearest 10. Now distance is halfway between there is 265 and halfway between there is 275. Now we're talking about average speed. Now speed is equal to distance divided by time. Now the question is, could the speed of the train have been greater than this? So I'm working out, you need to figure out if you're working out the maximum or the minimum here. And because it says greater than, I'm going to try and work out the maximum speed. So if I want the upper bound for the speed, for my distance, I need the upper bound, and for my time, I need the lower bound. So my distance upper bound is this number. My time lower bound is this number. Now I'll do 280 divided by 105, which will give me my speed, but the units will be slightly different. So they're not like typical units. So 280 divided by 105, I'm just doing it on my calculator here, is 2.6 recurring. Now what are the units for that? 2.6 recurring. So the units for that are kilometers per minute. Now I need to know what is that in kilometers per hour. So all I need to do is multiply that through by 60, and that gives me 160 kilometers per hour. So could the average speed of the train have been greater than 160? No, 160 is the maximum. So my answer to that question is no. Jack's assumption was wrong. The track was measured correct to the nearest 5 kilometers. Explain how this could affect your decision. So that would mean that this number here, well, this number here would now be 275 and 265. Therefore, this upper bound here would be 272. Sorry. What have I done here? Oh, sorry, I've used the wrong numbers, haven't I? Excuse me there, guys. Apologies. The distance number I should have used was 275, and the time should have been 107.5. So 275 divided by 107.5. Okay, that's 2.56 kilometers per minute. And if we times that by 60, and that gives us 153.5 kilometers per hour. So the answer is still no. Now, for this next part of the question, our time is going to stay the same as 107.5, but our distance, this number here, will be 272.5. So if I replace this number here with 272.5, so 272.5 divided by 107.5, and then we'd multiply that through by 60 to convert it back into kilometers per hour. I get 152. That does not account. (152.1 kilometers per hour). So how does that affect your decision? It doesn't. Okay, because it still can't get to there. Number 19. So this can be written as a single fraction in that form. Work out the values of a and b. So a bit of algebra here. So the first thing that I notice is we've got an x squared minus 9. And I know that x squared minus 9 is x plus 3 and x minus 3, difference of two squares. So I need the denominators of these to be x plus 3, x minus 3. So if I start with the one on the right, so right now I have x minus 6 over x plus 3. If I want this to be x plus 3, x minus 3, then I also need to multiply the top by x minus 3. Then on the middle I've got x plus 2 over x minus 3. And if I want this denominator, I need to times it by an x plus 3 and an x plus 3. And I have a 2. Now if I need the denominator to be x plus 3, x minus 3, I need to times both the top and the bottom by x plus 3, x minus 3. Like that. Now that we have a common denominator, we can collect everything together. Now it can get a little bit messy here. So the bottom of the fraction is just x squared minus 9. Now the top of the fraction, I'm just going to rewrite it. Actually, I'll multiply some of these together. So that times that is x squared minus 9. Minus, and then I'm going to actually multiply this out, but leave it in a square bracket. So if I multiply this out, I get x squared plus 2x plus 3x, that's plus 5x plus 6. Minus, and then we have an x squared minus 6x minus 3x is minus 9x plus 18. Now I can tidy this up a little bit further. So we have a 2x squared, take away an x squared, take away an x squared. So they actually all cancel out. So that's cancelling with all of that. We have a minus 18, minus 6, that's minus 24, minus another 18, so that's minus 42. So that's gone, that's gone, that's gone. And we have a minus 5x plus 9x, so that's 9 minus 5, which is plus 4x over x squared minus 9, and then just put it in that form, 4x minus 42 over x squared minus 9. Guys, if you've got any questions as you go through, feel free to type them in. Feel free to introduce yourselves as well, and what sort of grade you are hoping to get in the summer. I'm assuming everyone here is aiming for a grade 8 or a 9, but just let me know anyway. This one. So, an aeroplane is flying from Leeds to London. Oh, and if I'm going through one of your questions, just let me know it's your question. So if this is one that you submitted to me, let me know. An aeroplane is flying from Leeds to Heathrow, so I'm guessing that's LH. It flies 150 miles on a bearing of 136 to point A. Then it turns 90 degrees and flies 80 miles to H. Find the size of the angle marked X. So this is the angle marked X. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to work out this angle here. Now this angle here, this 136 and this angle are co-interior angles, so they add up to make 180. So the first thing I need to do is to work out the size of this angle. So 180 minus 136 will give me 44. So this angle is 44. This angle is 90. So this angle is 180. Take away 90. Take away 44, which is 46. So the size of angle X is 46 degrees. Find the bearing of H from A. So H is here, A is here. So I want to find the angle from A, so pointing that way to there. Well, we know that that bit there is 180 and this bit here is 46. So 180 add 46 is 226 degrees. Use Pythagoras' theorem to calculate LH. So LH is that length there, so it's the hypotenuse. So if I just draw the triangle this way around, so we know that this is 150, we know that this is 80, so 150 squared plus 80 squared square rooted. So the square root of 150 squared plus 80 squared is 170, which is actually a standard formula, 8, 15, 17 triangle. 170 miles. Work out the bearing of L from H. So from here to there, from H to L. Okay, actually this is actually really easy, because if I just get rid of that, if I zoom in, I'm told that this angle here is 16, and what I'm after is this angle, so it's just 360 minus 16, which is 344 degrees. What's that one? Okay, 1, 2, I'm assuming that's a 4 marker. Two towns A and B are connected by a motorway of length 100 miles and a dual carriageway of length 80 miles as shown. I feel like we've done this one in one of the classes before. Jack travels from A to B along the motorway at an average speed of that, and Fred travels on the dual carriageway at an average speed of that. What's the difference in time? Okay, so speed equals distance divided by time. We are after time, so time is equal to distance divided by speed. And we want our answer in minutes. Now we're going to get our answer in hours because of the units, but we'll convert that. So let's start with Jack. Time equals distance, which is 100 divided by 60. So 100 divided by 60 is 1.6 recurring, and that is miles per, sorry, that's hours. Yeah, 1.6 recurring hours. And what is that in hours and minutes? Well, 1 hour is 60 minutes, so we know that. If we can just times that by 60, that will give us 100 minutes. So Jack takes 100 minutes. Fred travels 80 miles. So the distance is 80, speed is 50. So 80 divided by 50 is 1.6 hours. If we times that by 60, we get 96 minutes. Okay, what is the difference in time between the two journeys? 4 minutes. You don't need to say who is 4 minutes faster or 4 minutes slower, you just need to say 4 minutes. Okay, and that's that one. A right pyramid has a square base of edge 15 centimeters. Yeah, a height of 20, so 8 and 12 is 20. P is directly above the midpoint of M. It's filled with sand. Okay, so this bottom part of it is filled with sand. Work out the volume of the sand. So this is almost like a frustum question. Technically it is a frustum. But we have a large pyramid and we have a small pyramid. And we want to work out the volume of the sand. We have to work out the volume of the large pyramid and subtract the volume of the small pyramid. So what do we know about the large pyramid? So the large pyramid volume is equal to third times the base area times the height. So that's 1/3. Now the base is a square. Yep, square of base 15. So it's 15 times 15. And the height is 20. So what's this? 75. 151,500 centimeters cubed. Now the small pyramid, there's a bit of maths we need to do before we get to the small pyramid, and this bit of maths involves similar triangles. So what we don't know is this length here, so we can't find the base area. However, what we have here are two similar triangles. If I draw them out individually, it will make a bit more sense. So there's the small one. Let's give this length, we'll call this x, and its height is 8. And then we've got this large triangle. We know that this is 15 and we know that this is 20. Now if these two triangles are similar, then their lengths are in the same ratio. So 15 divided by 20 must be the same as x divided by 8. Now 15 divided by 20 is the same as 3/4, and 3/4 is the same as 6/8. So x is equal to 6. So now we can work out the volume of the small pyramid by doing 1/3 times the base area. Now if that's 6, then that's 6, so the area is 6 times 6. And the height is 8, so that's 36 times 1/3, which is 12. 12 times 8 is 96 centimeters cubed, and therefore the volume of sand is 1,500 minus 96, which is 1,404 centimeters cubed. Okay, it'd be nice to know how many marks this question was. So if the person that submitted this question is online, just let me know how many marks it was. I'm going to estimate it would be 5. I'm going to estimate 5 marks for that one. But if you are here, then let me know. So this one looks very similar. A water tank is 50 centimeters long, 34 wide, and 24 high. It contains water to a depth of 18. 4 identical spheres are placed in the tank and are fully submerged, and the water level rises by 4.5. Calculate the radius of the spheres. Okay, so there's actually a lot of things that you could do in this question. Most of them would be pointless. Right? If the water rises by 4.5 centimeters, it will go up to there. All I need to do is to work out the volume that it's risen by. Now the volume that the water has risen by is in the shape of a cuboid, and the dimensions of this cuboid are 50 by 34 by 4.5. 50 times 34 times 4.5. Now you could go and work out the volume of the water currently, you could work out the volume of the whole shape, but this is going to be the most efficient way to do it because there's no need to work out all of that for this question. So if we multiply them together, we get 7650 centimeters cubed. Now this represents the volume that we've risen by, and this is equal to the volume of 4 identical spheres. So the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So the volume of 4 spheres is going to be that times 4, which will be 16 over 3 pi r cubed. And since we know that the volume of 4 spheres is equal to this, we can equate them. So 16 over 3 pi r cubed is 7650. So pi r cubed is 7650 times 3 divided by 16 times 3 divided by 16. So pi r cubed is equal to a decimal 1434 dot dot dot. If we divide that by pi, that will give me r cubed, which is 456.6 dot dot dot. And then to find the radius, all we do is we cube root that, and that gives me 7.7 centimeters to 1 decimal place. So that's the radius of 1 sphere. Okay, that's fine. All right. Next. All right. So we've done, how many have we done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So the 7th one is here. A firm makes cone-shaped containers out of card. The card is in the shape of a sector, radius 12. The angle of the sector is 270. Find the arc length of the card used to make the cone. Give your answer in terms of pi. So this is going to be a non-calculated question. It also says there. So the arc length is this, basically. So the formula for arc length. Now when you go on to do A-level, there's a much simpler formula. But for now, it's theta divided by 360 times the circumference of a circle, which is 2 pi r. So in the question that we're doing, our angle is 270 divided by 360 times 2 pi times 12. Now because it's non-calculator, we need to simplify this. 270 divided by 360 is 3/4 times 2 pi times 12, which is 24 pi. Now 24 pi divided by 4 is 6 pi, times by 3 is 18 pi. So the answer to this question is 18 pi centimeters. That's the length of the card, length of the arc. Calculate the radius of the base of the cone. All right, so if we join this edge to this edge, we will form this cone shape. And let's use a different color. The circumference here, which I've done in purple, is made up of this edge here. So we know that the circumference here is equal to 18 pi. So circumference equals 18 pi, and the question is find the radius. So what is the radius of the base of the cone? So circumference equals 2 pi r, and we know that that's equal to 18 pi. So that means that 2r is equal to 18 and r is equal to 9 centimeters. Okay, so that's how we do that one. Alright, here is a sketch of a part of a graph y equals ab to the power of x. Work out the values of a and b. So this is 2 marks, so we know that. So this one just requires substitution. Okay, so that's my formula. We're going to substitute one of these in. Alright, now you choose which one you do first. Now you substitute the easier one first. How do you know which one's easier? If you've got any zeros or ones, if you've got any zeros, go with them first. If you've got any ones, go with them next, and then go with anything else. So clearly 0, 3 is going to be the easier one. So that means that x is 0 and y is 3. So 3 equals a times b to the power of 0. Dot means times, by the way. Now b to the power of 0, anything to the power of 0 is 1. So this is just 1. So this is equal to a times 1. So we now know that 3 is equal to a. So therefore a is 3. So now our equation can be written as y equals 3 times b to the power of x. Now let's substitute 2 and 12 in. So that's your x value and that's your y value. 12 equals 3 times b to the power of x, and x is 2. If we divide both sides by 3, 12 divided by 3 is 4 equals b squared. So to find b, we square root it. Square root of 4, which is plus or minus 2, but we'll just put down 2 here. Okay, so b is equal to 2. And that's your answer for 2 marks. Okay, we're about halfway through. Ratio. Scott has half as much money as Tom. Dara has 3 times as much money as Tom. Okay, so let's say that Tom has X amount of money. Scott has half as much money as Tom. So Scott has a half X, and Dora has 3 times as much money as Tom. So Dora has 3X. Write a ratio of Scott's money, Tom's money, and Dora's money. So S, T, and D. So initially I'm going to write it in X. So half X. Tom is X. Dora is 3X. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all the X's. So divide everything through by X gives me that. And we don't like having halves in there, so let's double everything. And that's your ratio. 1, 2, 6. That's in its simplest form. So you want to avoid fractions when writing in its simplest form. Altogether, Scott, Tom and Dora all have £450. How much money does Tom have? Now Tom is this one. Okay, now Tom has 2 parts out of a total of 1 add 2 add 6, 9. So Tom has 2/9 of the total amount of 450. I'm assuming this one's going to be a non-calculated question. So then to work that out, we do 450 divided by 9, and then we multiply that by 2. So 450 divided by 9 is 50. 50 times 2 is £100. Okay, so that's that one for 4 marks. B and C are points on a line segment AD. Okay, so B is 2/7 of the way along. A and D, yeah. C is 3/4 of the way between B and D. So that's 1. And this is 3/4 of the way from there to there. Work out the ratio of A to B, B to C, and C to D. Okay, so this is an interesting question. I've not seen this one before. So if it's 3/4 of the way from here to here, well, the distance between B and D is 5/7. And this is 3/4 of the way along. Okay, so 5/7. So we need to find out 3/4 of 5/7, which is 15 over 28. So this is 15 over 28 of the way along. Does that make sense? 3/4 there. Tell you what, let's write this all over 28. So 2/7 is 8 out of 28. And D is the end, so this will be 28 out of 28. This will be 0 out of 28. And this, yeah. So this is 15 out of 28 from there. So we add 15 out of 28 to that. And that would give us 23 out of 28. Now let's just double check that. There to there is 15 out of 28, and there to there is 5 out of 28. Yeah, so that works. So right, any questions on that? Sorry, I did that a bit quickly there. So what I did is I worked out 3/4 of 5/7. So I multiplied them together, which gave me 15 over 28. And what that tells me is that this point is 15 out of 28 from B. Yeah, so from there to there we know that this distance here is 15 over 28. And then I just did 15 over 28 plus 8 out of 28, which gives me 23 over 28. Okay, now write the ratio of A to B. So that's gone from 0 to 8. So I'm gonna write it in fraction form first. So it will be from the distance from there to there is 8 over 28. B to C is 15 over 28. And there to there is 5 over 28. If we multiply everything through by 28, we get 8, 15 and 5, and that does not simplify any further, so that there is your final answer. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 to go. And then if you've got any other questions, we can have a look at that. Diagram shows a circle, center O. Prove that angle XOY. Okay, so this is just proof of the circle theorem that this angle is equal to double that angle. Okay, so this is just what it's asking for is the proof. So we need to draw some lines in. So imagine that this side here was X, and then this triangle here, OAX, is an isosceles triangle because that's the radius and that's the radius. So these two lengths are the same, which means that these two angles are the same. So if that's X and that's X, then this missing angle is 180 minus 2x. Similarly, on this side, let's call this angle y. Well, OAY is also an isosceles triangle because this length and this length are the same. So this length is y, and this length here is 180 minus 2y. And over here we have angles around a point. So what we can do, since we know these two angles, we can work out this missing angle. So this missing angle is 360 minus 180 minus 2x, take away 180 minus 2y. So let's get rid of all the brackets. So 360 take away 180 take away 180 cancels out, leaving me with a 2x plus 2y, which can be written as 2 times x plus y. So this angle is equal to 2 times x plus y, and our original angle was x plus y. So we've proved that this angle is double that angle. Okay, this is a standard proof, and if it was to come up in your exam, you'd basically need to repeat exactly what I did there, maybe just explain a few bits as well, but that's an easy 4 marks if you know what you're doing. Standard form. So work out the value of A. So A is the only unknown here. So let's start with the left hand side. 8 times 4 is 32, and then it's times 10 to the power of, we add the powers, A plus 4. And that's equal to 3.2 times 10 to the 12. Now this number is not in standard form. So in order to make this number in standard form, I'll need to make this number 3.2. And to balance it out, I need to add 1 to the power here. So it becomes 10 to the power of A plus 5. And I'm just going to copy this out. 3.2 times 10 to the power of 12. Now if we compare these two, that is the same as that. The 10 is the same as that. The only thing that's different is that and that. So we know that A plus 5 is 12. So A must be 7. Right, we are down to our last 3. prove that x squared plus x plus 1 is always positive. So if we want to prove that something is always positive, usually we will do completing the square. The confusing thing here is that this number here is odd, or the coefficient here is odd, but we can still complete the square. It's just a bit more messy. So it'll be x plus half of 1, which is a half, close bracket, squared. We're going to minus the half squared, and then we add the 1. So that's how we complete the square for that. If I tidy this up a little bit, this will become x plus 1 squared minus a quarter plus 1. And we can tidy this up a little bit further. Minus quarter plus 1 is plus 3/4. Now, this has been written as this. Now, whenever you have, so x can take any value. If we add half to it, it'll make it bigger. When we square it, it's always going to be positive. So this bracket, when you square it, is always positive. Okay, so that bit there is always positive. And what we're doing here is we are adding 3/4 to an already positive value. Therefore, the answer is always, well, it's always positive. It's always going to be greater than or equal to 3/4 as well, because the minimum this can be is 0. And when we add 3/4 to it, the lowest we can have is 3/4. So the answer is always greater than or equal to 3/4, therefore always positive. And that's your 3 marks there. Joy is solving a quadratic equation in the form of x squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where b and c are integers. She correctly solves the equation to get that, work out the values of b and c. Okay, so this here is the way we can do this one is, imagine what you are completing the square and solving, and you come to this answer. We're going to go in reverse. Okay, so I'm going to get a quadratic. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 3 back over to the left, making it x minus 3 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 3. Next, I'm going to square both sides. So x minus 3 squared is equal to root 3 squared, which is 3. From here, I'm going to expand. So that's x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 3. And then bring that 3 across. X squared minus 6x plus 6 equals 0. Therefore, the value of b is minus 6 and c is plus 6. We have that. Okay, I think this is our last one. Yeah. So the graph shows a relationship between the base and the height of a triangle with a fixed area. So if a triangle with an area of 3 has a height that is twice its base. So where on here is the height twice its base? So if the height was 8, the base would have to be 4. So that would be something like that. If the height was 4, the base would have to be 2. If the height was 2, the base would have to be 1. So what we have here is a line. And what I'm interested in is where we cross. So work out the approximate base and height for this triangle. We'll check it as well. So I would say that that is approximately there, 1.8, and that is 3.4. Alright. So double would be 3.7, so a bit of accuracy lost there. But let's work with these numbers. so that's my answer. I could just leave it there, but let's just double check this. It is worth 3 marks. It's going to take me about 10 seconds to double check this. The area of a triangle is equal to base times height divided by 2. So that's 1.8 times 3.4 and divided by 2. Now, is this somewhere near 3? Let's have a look. 1.8 times 3.4 divided by 2. 3.06, close enough for me. So I know that this is right. So I know that I've got myself 3 marks here. Okay, is it not root 13? Oh, hold on. Thank you for that comment. I'll go back to that one. Alright, so that's that one. Let's go have a look here. Oh yes, says me not being able to read my own handwriting. Thank you for that. Alright, let's do this one again. This is root 13 and I've done it as root 3. So x equals 3 plus or minus root 13. So then we still take away the 3. That gives me plus or minus root 13. We square both sides, which equals 13. We expand, so we actually get the same answer when we expand here. Equals 13, and then we take away the 13. 9 take away 13 is minus 4. So we get a different answer for C. The B value is the same, but your C value is minus 4. So thank you for that, Vanessa. Minus 4. Right, so we've just gone through 15 questions in the last sort of 45 minutes. And that's probably about 2/3 to 3/4 of an exam paper. 3 marks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 19, 23, 24, 25. I think 2 marks each there. 29, 4 marks, 33, 38, 3 marks there, 41, 45, 49, 54. Yeah, I'd estimate around 54 marks, so at least 50 marks worth of questions there. So I've gone through all the questions. Does anyone have anything that they want to ask me? Feel free to ask me now. Okay. I know there's a teacher strike day coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm planning to do another one of these sessions if you guys are interested on the teacher strike day. I know some of you still have school on the teacher strike days, but I think this next strike day, I think most schools will be closed completely. But we'll find out in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, if you've got any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, we will end the stream there. Thank you for joining, by the way, guys. And remember, you can watch this back immediately. So as soon as I end the stream, you can just rewind it, or you can find it uploaded there as well. So you can watch back any of this that you didn't you weren't able to keep up with. You can watch that too. All right, guys. It doesn't look like we've got any other questions. So thank you everybody for joining, and hopefully I will see you in a couple of weeks on the next strike day. Some of you I'll see next Wednesday, which is our next normal lesson. Okay, so enjoy the rest of your holidays. Make sure you do lots of exam practice, and if there's anything else you're stuck on, send me an email. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.